Coffee's brewing, cameras ready, auction starts at 7 sharp. Old glass glittering on the table, trying to light that little spark. And got the buyers in the chat now, bidding up that ironstone. Then somebody drops a question, can I deduct my cell phone? It's the life of a love seller, trying to juggle every role, running auctions, packing orders, keeping records for the goal. It's the life of a love seller, building something of your own. And the CPA keeps saying, build the business, not the show. Sounds are climbing, the room is buzzing, everybody's having fun. Then the quarter's almost over and the bookkeeping's not done. You got payouts, you got shipping, you got fees from here to there. Got a spreadsheet full of numbers, a slightly nervous stare. It's the life of a love seller, trying to juggle every role, running auctions, packing orders, keeping records for the goal. It's the life of a love seller, building something of your own. And the CPA keeps saying, build the business, not the show. Track your numbers, track your inventory, track the things that help you grow. Know your numbers, know your margins, know where every dollar goes. Because success is more than followers, more than bids and auction bells. The strongest sellers build a business, not just things they want to sell. It's the life of a life seller, turning passion into plans with a little vintage treasure and a ledger in your hands. It's the life of a life seller, and together we can grow with the CPF for life sellers, building businesses that show. Coffee's ready, cameras on. Let's build a business, and then the show.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy, and always here with my husband, Noel, who is just, I'll tell you, today's already a day. I was giving him an earful during that intro. Good morning, Southern Charm. Good morning, Mamas. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for sitting through that video. Thank you for your very nice comments. I was over here complaining to him because that is way too long for an intro. So thank you so much for your nice comments. But it is just way too long for an opening. And I told him not to do it. But here we are. Thank you so much. Thank you. I chopped it all off. I got tired of it, and I'm like, it's gone. It's done. Happy Friday. Happy 4th of July weekend, everybody. A little bit different. Thank you so much. Yeah, I haven't had it this short since we first started dating. So it's been about almost 8 years since I've had my hair this short. And last time I cut it this short, I came home and my husband tells me when we were just dating, and he goes, don't ever cut your hair that short again. So yesterday I told him, I'm like, I'm going to get my hair cut. I'm chopping it all off. Thank you. It feels so much better. And so I came home and I was like peeking through the door like, uh-oh, should I show you or not? But he likes it, so we're good. Thank you so much. So 4th of July, I hope you guys have some plans. Anybody going to see some good fireworks tomorrow? Do you guys do you set them off at home? Are you at home? Like, do your own, or do you go? He does just a little bit. He loves me just a little. I think we're going to go to Gettysburg. How cool to go see fireworks for the 250th celebration of our country at Gettysburg. I thought that would be kind of a cool thing. So I think that's what we're going to do. stay home watching it in the, yeah, whatever you guys do, be careful. This heat wave is absolutely no joke. So well, that's awesome. Secondhand Swamp. Tell your stepfather congratulations. You know, Kate, I've only been to Gettysburg a handful of times. There's a couple antique stores I've gone to out there, but I've never really like just gone and explored, like walked around. I have heard so many stories though that like, yeah, that people see things in the fields out there. And it always amazes me. If you've never been to Gettysburg, you're just driving through and like you have battlefields all around you and like all these monuments, and you're just driving through such a historic place everywhere you look. So, it's always almost kind of chokes me up a little bit when you go through just to think of all that history that's right there. A girls' weekend in September. Well, you'll have to let us know. We are like less than an hour from Gettysburg. So boating and floating. There you go. That sounds like the best 4th of July weekend right there. All right, you guys. So what else is going on? Today we are talking about having your live selling business as a long-term business, not just like, let me get a few extra bucks right now, not as a side gig for a couple of minutes, but really, how do we turn this into a long-term sustainable business? And we're going to get there. That's kind of what we're going to go through today. Before we do that, the CEO Challenge, our first showcase is Monday night. I really hope you guys have a great weekend and then come back Monday, chill out and watch the CEO Showcase. We have 8 participants. I don't like to say contestants because they're not competing. 8 participants. We have estate addicts. And if you're here, if I call your name, throw you something in the chat. Let people know who you are so they can follow you. Estate addicts, Livy Will, Crystal's Vintage Collection, Melinda's Time Capsule. There you go. I'm like, hey, I saw Melinda's in here. Wicked Moxie, Girl Friday Crafts. I thought I saw Girl Friday earlier too. Swan and Thistle, and Josie's Junk in the Trunk Mercantile. 8 amazing participants. They're going to do their showcase. They're going to introduce themselves on Monday, let you know who they are, what their metric is they picked. We are going to have our first after discussion with I Love Discounts, where we're going to give some, what went well, what can use some improvement. So it's going to be a good time on Monday. Don't miss it. It starts at 6:15, and myself and I Love Discounts will be wrapping it up at 8:30 for about a 30-minute show. Maybe a little longer. Hey, if we have great conversation, we'll keep it going for a bit. There's I Love Discounts right there. And then that's Monday. But tomorrow morning is my Warm Embrace show. You guys, if you like neutrals, the woods, the warm colors, the kind of that basket feel, everything that's behind me, all of this stuff here, that's coming tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. There will be some pre-listed by this evening. I'm a little behind. Y'all, the last day, you give me a couple days off of work and I am like gone doing stuff. I've like completely shrugged off any real responsibility, and I've been out shopping and just having fun. And I woke up this morning and I'm like, I haven't listed anything. I forgot to pick up some auction stuff. I'm like, goodness gracious, I get 2 days off of work and all responsibility goes right out the door. Did you get it, Kate? Awesome. I'm so glad you like it. Cool. And then Sunday, Reselling Roundtable, you guys, you've got to be there on YouTube. Myself, I Love Discounts, and Green 13. I Love Discounts. If you're here, can you do your quick little key thing and throw that in there? Lysandra and Tony set up some hotkeys where they just type a few things and pop all of our, there it is right there. Oh, Millicent's too. There you go. Thank you. Millicent's beat I Love Discounts to getting it in there. This week, Sunday night, 6:30, we are talking about, is community hurting your business? There's a fancier title on the YouTube. I just paraphrased it. But basically, is she working? Okay, thank you. Yes, Tony. So is community hurting your business here? I think we're going to have a good controversial debate going on Sunday night, so you don't want to miss that one. I have some very strong feelings about this, and I'm not saying what they are. They're all going to come out Sunday night. And we'll see. We'll see if we all agree or not. I don't think we are going to agree. Okay, so let's talk about how. And before we get into this, you guys, if you have thoughts, questions, anything, this is seller support too, please put anything in the chat. I'm always open to try to answer any questions, and whether it's on our topic or not. So feel free. Don't ever be shy about putting something in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing the show. I appreciate you. So anyone can have a good show. Good morning, Tober. But building a business that's still here in 5 years, that's something totally different. So when we look at, we come on Whatnot, a lot of us start here, we come out, we come on, we're buyers, we're buying stuff, and then all of a sudden we look around and we're like, hey, this selling thing doesn't look too hard. Let's give this a shot. There's a huge difference between, hey, I want to make a few bucks, or I'm building something for the future. I want this to last. And when I say that, that doesn't mean that you need to be huge. You can want this for the future. Good morning, Crafting with Chris. You can want this for the future. Hello, Choco Dog. And still not want it to be really, really big. You can say, hey, I want to do this for the next 5 or 10 years, but I don't want to sell more than 20 or 30 items a week. That's all I feel like doing. That's all I feel like shipping, but still want the same thing as somebody who wants to grow big and have it in 5 years. So it's a really applicable topic to everybody, no matter the size and how big you want to get. So when we talk about being here and longevity, it's not about the growth of it. It is about what you're doing today to make it even possible to be here 5 years from now. Whatnot, it's in its baby stage. It is growing like crazy. I bet every single one of you who has been here longer than 2 years could look back and say, I didn't have as much competition 2 years ago. Now, every time I go into my category, there's 50 or 100 other shows in my category. I know I love discounts. Lysandra has talked to me about this. When they first started health and beauty, they were like maybe 5-10 people in their category. And then as they got, they stayed on longer and longer. And before they kind of moved away from health and beauty, they're like, there's so many people in this category all the time now. And it's not a bad thing. Wild growth. And that's actually good. The more people that are on here selling, the more buyers are coming in. And it works for everybody, right? But while we say that, while we say, okay, look at how much it's grown, all of us too, if you've been here longer, I'm going to say a year. If you've been here at least a year, I bet you can think of 3 or 4 people without like straining yourself very, very easily that started and are no longer here, right? I could probably name 10 off the top of my head. I'm not going to like call them out, of people who started. By all appearances, they were all in, they were doing this Whatnot thing. And then all of a sudden, where'd they go? They just disappeared. So it's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of work. And so many people come on here and think, oh, we can just have a show. Just buy some inventory, do a show, buy inventory, do a show. And it's so much deeper than that. There's a lot that you need to think about underneath that infrastructure to build in order to be here 5 years from now, if that's your goal. So that longevity, that being here in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, that requires intention. That requires deliberate thought and action on your part every single day now, if you want to be here later on. One of the biggest differences I see with the people, if I look back over the almost 3 years I've been on the app, and one of the things I see, it's not inventory, it's not luck, it's not commitment. Thank you so much, Chuckaduck. It's intention. It's what is the absolute intention? What is the intention in my decisions? What's the intention in showing up every day? So it's over and over. And, we say the word consistency, and I'll mention it throughout today, but it's not just consistency. It's even deeper than that. It's people who made the decision early on that they weren't here just to make a few bucks. This is a conscious decision that you make, that you are going to still be here 5 years from now. Because I'll tell you what, there are going to be days that you don't want to show up. There's going to be days that you're tired. You don't want to hit go live. There's going to be heartbreak. There's going to be people you thought were your friends that turn their back on you. There's going to be people that you thought you were buddy with, and then all of a sudden they're talking about you. Last active. Yes, absolutely. Yes, we do. And then we can start seeing it. I would love that, Millicent. Swamp Chick, good morning. Thank you. The last couple of weeks has really shown me, like I've said it, we all know that Whatnot's like high school, right? These last couple of weeks have brought that home to me so hard and so real that it's like, you know what? Some days it's hard to show up. Some days it's like, if you hit that go live, who's watching? What are they going to say about me now? What's going to happen now? And I'm not giving you a sob story. I'm not here like, oh, poor me. I'm seeing it not just in myself. I'm seeing it with other people saying the same thing. And that wears you down. That gets hard. So having the fortitude, having that decision, that intention, making that decision that says, no matter what happens today, I'm still going to show up tomorrow, is a really hard decision to make. But that's the decision we have to make if we're going to have this as a long-term business, because there are going to be those days where you just want to completely throw in the towel. It happens to me quite often. So I want you to think, when we talk about this decision and the depth of this decision, I want you to think of like a flea market booth and a retail store. Somebody who does a flea market booth, they kind of do it when they feel like it, right? They're like, yeah, I think I'll go down to the flea market this weekend, set up the booth, put the tent up, sell some stuff. Versus the retail store, who they have to open up, they got to turn the lights on, they got to pay for that rent, their customers are expecting them, they have a schedule posted on the door, open hours that they have to be there. And that's what we need to be. We need to be like that retail store, that we're showing up day after day after day, regardless. We schedule shows, we be on time, and we show up for those shows. House of Duke, you're going to be doing this full time. Well, congratulations. Only income source. My job. Okay. I'm sorry that your job's closing down, but congratulations for like embracing this and jumping into it. You know what? And I'm with you. I love my job. My job pays my bills. I'm very fortunate, and I don't let that, how blessed I am with my full-time job. But there are many days where this brings me a lot more joy than my full-time job does. Really high percent of buy it now only purchases not from a live are canceled by the seller who left the app and just abandoned their listings. Oh my gosh, really? So they still have their listings there. People buy them, and then they just get canceled. See, that's so sad. I wish Whatnot would do something like that. Like if you're not active for a certain amount of time and you're not on vacation mode, that it gets shut down and people can't buy. That's something that my opinion, Whatnot needs to step in, is say if you haven't been active in, 60 days or something like that. I wonder if they have any process in place to monitor things like that. I'm curious. I don't think it addresses it in terms of service, but I want to. I'm going to make a note so I can see if I can go find anything. All right. So when we're looking at like the retail store, that's what we want our Whatnot shows to become. Schedule your shows. Show up on time. You're not just running random shows. You're not that flea market booth just running random shows. You are building an infrastructure here that your business that's the base of your business that it's going to grow on. You're building that infrastructure to the point where people start planning their weeks around your shows. That is a decision on your part. That's the level and the depth of the decision that you need to make if you want to be here long term. Yeah, Forgotten Memories. I don't think so neither. I think that's a really interesting case, though. That's probably one of those things as the app grows, it's like, oh, wow, this is going to happen. We need to institute something. So I'm sure Whatnot's aware of it. But I'm just curious if there's anything out there that addresses it. So think about this. We always talk about predictability. People schedule their weeks around your show. But have you ever thought how predictability reduces the mental effort? Right? Why? Why is that predictability good? Why do we want to show up? Not just because people schedule their shows around us, not just because they know every Friday, 7 a.m., Tracy's going to be here. My business day, it's your class. That's awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Your buyers, think about this. Your buyers don't have to remember when you sell. That predictability reduces your buyer's mental effort. I don't know about you. I am overloaded with decisions. So are all of your buyers. So are all of your supporters. So when we are showing up, just like that retail store that's open set hours, if we are sticking to our set hours here, we're on every Friday at 7 a.m., every Saturday at 8 a.m., whatever it is that when you are on, you're helping your buyers come back to you by reducing their mental load. They don't have to go and search your name and when's the next show and let me bookmark, let me turn this on. They just know. Hey, it's Friday at 7, Tracy's going to be on. It's Sunday morning at 8, Green 13 is doing his chat show. So good morning, Ross. So it reduces that mental load on your buyers, makes it easier. You become part of their routine by being by scheduling your shows and showing up. So there has absolutely been mornings. I'm not going to lie to you. There has been plenty of Friday mornings that I wake up. We have a vintage store in Florida, and it's this slow season, so I started doing Whatnot. There you go. Hey, I was talking to somebody yesterday at a antique mall. It was a glass booth, and she happened to be restocking. And we got into this whole long conversation as I'm buying stuff from her putting stuff in my cart from her shelves. And she's like, "Do you resell?" I'm like, "Yeah, some of this is for personal, but mainly I resell." And she goes, "Where do you sell on Whatnot?" I didn't even have to say it. She was just like, "Do you sell on Whatnot?" It's becoming more and more popular. She was like, "I'm thinking about doing it," and so we started talking about Whatnot a lot. So is it playing in the chat? That's a good obsession too, Ross. So more and more people are hearing about Whatnot. But I want to talk about the predictability side of this. So many Fridays, not every Friday, but there's been plenty. I've woke up with a headache, just not feeling good. I'm tired. I didn't sleep. Maybe I don't feel my notes are on point, and I'm not going to do this show. And I think to myself, I wake up, oh, I'll just cancel one day. But every time I show up here, I'm reinforcing what my business stands for. Every time I hit go live at 7 a.m. on a Friday, I'm reinforcing what my business stands for, what I stand for, and I'm building the infrastructure for years and years to come. People think about this. People don't remember just one great show. There may be, something you saw and you're like, oh, that was so funny. But you know what they do remember you for? They remember you because you showed up over and over and over again, and they can count on you. That's what they remember. Why? Because people, it's not so much the what you sold or that you had a show. It's that feeling of predictability, that community, that I can count on this person over and over. That's what makes that connection with people, that they know that you're going to be there. And it also builds who you are. It shows that commitment on who you are, shows that commitment that you're going to bring the good products, that you're going to ship them, that you're going to be here for them time and time again. I always say, if you can't be there when you say you're going to be there, then how in the hell can you expect your buyers to show up for you? If you can't show up for them, how do you expect them to show up for you? And, we hear all the time these questions. They remember you for wearing a wrestling mask. There you go. They might not remember everything that happened in the show, but they're going to, by God, remember that mask, right? We hear all the time, how do I get people to come to my shows? Well, first of all, have an anchor show. Show up consistently. How do you expect people to show up for you if you're not showing up for them? It's a give and take here. This isn't all about, I'm going to bring some cool products and people are going to come buy them. No. Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to be serious. It's okay. You bring some humor to it. Who's going to get that giveaway? Remember Win Vintage. Congratulations. Giveaways are our usual CEO affirmation, little affirmation package here. That's what you're going to get for our giveaways. So I want to know, of anybody, all the people who are sellers here, being serious is overrated. Of everybody who's sellers, how long have you been selling? Just drop in the chat. How long, months, years, how long have you been selling? I am going on December will be 3 years. So I'm like 2.5. Thank you, SS Vintage. Good morning. 1 month, 2 months, November, 2 years. A lot of under a years. We have 1, 2 years, almost a year. 1.5. Oh, there we go. PC3, 4 years. We have some OGs. First show is Sunday on here, or in general. On here, how long have you been on Whatnot? See, it's all over the place. But there's a lot of, when I say newbies, anything less than a year, I consider you new. That first year is such a growing process. It's such a figuring out who in the heck you are on Whatnot process. 1.5 years. 10K sales in 2 months is amazing, but I think that's great, but it depends on your situation. I don't like, and I'm not getting on anybody about numbers. I don't base success solely on numbers. I think somebody getting on here and showing up consistently is good. I think if you've set a numbers goal and you met your goal, that's good. If you are super scared to be on here and you hit go live and you smile and you have that confidence in front of the camera, even though you're shaking inside, that's good. That's success. So I'm not getting on the number, but we all have to set our own measure of where we want to be and what that measurement of success is. Everybody is on their own journey, 100%. I'm not going to call them out by name, but there's somebody that I've spoken to who is like, when I first got on, like I was super scared. Like I did not want to be on camera. I was shaking. I was so scared. And I watched this person evolve over a year and a half, and they have grown so much. And I see them get on camera, and I'm like, I don't see that. I don't see that nervousness. I don't see that you're scared anymore. Even though I know, because they've told me that they're still nervous inside. But I'm not saying names. But I've seen such a growth and evolution in that confidence on camera. And that's, everybody has their own journey. There's people come on here like the Hodgepodge place. To me, she seems like the most natural person in the world on camera. Who knows? Maybe she's shaking inside. You never know. But then there's other people that come on and they're like, I was super scared my first time on camera. I don't think I ever looked straight at the camera. I had a bunch of notes and I read my notes the whole time. So you're not shy at all. So, okay, now that we all know, we have people from about to start 1 month to 3 years, 4 years. When you first started, did you think you were starting a business or a side hustle? Where was your head when you first started? Business or side hustle? Because they're two different things. I'm not talking taxes or accounting. I'm just talking theory here, kind of like feeling. We have a lot of businesses, couple of side hustles, still don't know. Was a side hustle and quickly evolved probably. So that's the difference right there. It's that, where is our mindset? What decision are we making? Because the people who are in the side hustle, side business, and there's nothing wrong with the side hustle or side business. There's nothing wrong with doing something on the side. But that is today thinking. That's not long-term thinking. It is two very different ways of making decisions, of planning, of doing shows, if you are here for the side hustle or if you're here for a long-term business. And I'm not saying that one is right or one is wrong. But if you're like, no, I want to be here in 5 years from now, and you're like, but I'm going to treat this as a side hustle, those are conflicting priorities. The way you make decisions for those two things are very different. So I'm pointing it out to hopefully that you can think through it and say, no, I want to be aligned. If I want to be here for the long term, I need to make decisions for the long term, not treat this as a side hustle. If you're here and you're like, no, look, I got my full-time job. I'm having some fun over here. It is a side gig. That's cool. But then that's how you're going to make your decisions. And we'll go through some of the stuff that we do that really set it apart in the different ways that you make those decisions. I'm trying to make it a business, but it's hard. 1 week is great and the next week is rock bottom. It can be, but this is what I'm saying is, once you know that it's a business, once you've got that in your head that I'm here for the long haul, those rock bottom weeks, it's disheartening. They hurt. It sucks. We cry at night. We wonder what we're doing wrong, but we get up and we do it again and again and again, because we're not so focused on today and the now. We're focused on where I'm going to be in 5 years. Where am I going to be when you have a show and you're doing dollar starts and everything you sell starts for $1, and I'm like, how am I ever going to make a business out of this? How am I going to make a profit out of this? Okay, it's just for today. What am I going to change? What am I going to do? Because in 5 years from now, I'm going to be rocking and rolling and making, 6 figures, right? So it is. Rock bottom is that learning opportunity. That's where we start changing things. That's where we start evaluating. We should do it when we're doing good also, but that's our learning period. Everything has that hard growth. Think about when you were 12 or 13 years old. As humans, we go through growing periods. 12 and 13 sucked for me. That was the worst time. But you know what? I learned a whole bunch about who I was, as much as you can at that age, on who I was, things I wanted in life. I learned a lot about other people at that time in my life. It's the same thing in business. Those rock bottom weeks are going to teach you a whole lot about things. And it may not even be, thank you, Erin. Good morning. Just winning and learning. I love that. It's not failure. It's learning. But knowing that I have that long-term goal carries me through those hard weeks. And it is, oh my gosh, growing, learning, juggling family life, having a work-life balance, particularly. Look, it's hard if you're doing this full time. Don't let anybody fool you. Oh, I'm going to go work for myself. I'm going to go do whatnot and think it's an easy life. You're probably working twice as hard as someone doing a 9 to 5 job because you are always on. When you are an entrepreneur, it is 24/7. There isn't really downtime unless you schedule it in and make yourself relax and take downtime. Whereas if you're working for somebody else, I clock in, I clock out for the most part, most jobs. So, and then if you're doing both, I know me, I have my 9 to 5. I'm here first thing in the morning. Soon as my 9 to 5 is done, I'm back and doing my whatnot, whether I'm on doing a show, working on inventory, picking up things. It's nonstop. So this is not an easy life that we're choosing to do. Don't let it get to his head. Jerry taught me. I still got a dollar account. That's it. Don't let it get into his head. Yeah. As long, it's that decision. It's that it doesn't go, I look at, it's not just the hard weeks. It's not the money in the bank account. It's the commitment and that decision to the longevity that sets you aside. That intent. Sleep is for rich people. We aren't rich. I need my sleep though. I'm just saying. I am not the person who's going to ship till 2 a.m. It's going to come about 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'm done. The rest is getting done tomorrow. You have inventory for a year and you're already worried about finding new stock. I get that. I worry a lot too. I look at my shelves and I'm like, oh, they're empty and I've got a certain kind of show coming up next month. You know what I find? As long as you're doing your part, thank you so much, Polish Picker. As long as you're doing your part, that inventory shows up. I'm not saying it's just going to magically appear on your doorstep or fall out of the sky, but I've had so many times. You guys tell me, put something in the chat if you ever feel this way. You look at your shelves and you're kind of like House of Duke saying there, and you're kind of like, oh, do I have enough for a few more shows? Like you start to get a little, even if you have a lot sitting there, you start to get a little antsy. Like, is there enough inventory? Do I got enough good stuff? Do I have the stuff people want? That's a constant. I feel that inside all the time. But you know what I've also realized over the course of 2.5 years? No matter how much I feel that, as long as I continue to do what I'm supposed to be doing, going online, sourcing, talking to people, as far as like to secure inventory, doing what I'm supposed to be doing in the sourcing game, it always works itself out. I have yet to schedule a show and the day before the show and say, I have nothing to sell. I have yet to have that happen to me. It always works itself out. Did you pick up a new collection? That's awesome. Got a storage unit. There you go. It comes. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you don't have to worry about the inventory. 62 vendors to choose from. Oh, do you own Vintage Vault? Do you own a antique store? Chatting up a person at a yard. You guys, I am the most introverted person. I know, crystals, it's all gone. That's amazing. I frequently will source at antique stores. Here's the thing. I don't like to talk to people. This is fine because there's not a group of people in front of me. Now I'll get up and present. I do conferences around the country. I get up and talk. I'm okay with that because I kind of feel like I'm talking about something I've practiced and I'm the supposed expert in those situations. But like in real life, just talking to somebody, thank you, crystals. Going up and talking to somebody in real life, that's not me. But you know what I found? I've begun practicing that more and more lately. And I've been making connections. People are asking for my phone number. I'm starting to meet sources and people who can supply me as vendors that I never would have come across if I kept my mouth shut and didn't come out of my shell. And that doesn't mean I'm Miss Chatty Cathy going around talking to everybody, because I am definitely not. But perfect example, the glass lady I was just talking about, I went to her booth. She's one of my favorite booths at this antique store. Never seen her in my life before. I happened to go to the antique store the other day. She's there restocking the booth. And I'm like, oh, hey, is this your booth? I love your booth. I've bought from here frequently. She starts talking. She pulls out some glass from a box and she's like, have you ever seen one of these? And we sat there and had like a 30-minute conversation. By the end of that conversation, I go, because that's the one who I started talking about whatnot. And I had picked up stuff from her booth and she was like pulling different things out. And she's like, hey, wait a minute. I got something else in this box down here. Let me show you this. And the worst response will be no, exactly. They're not going to bite your head off. By the end of that conversation, I asked her, I said, hey, do you ever have dead stock that you're trying to get rid of? Just stuff that maybe isn't selling? I'm really interested in purchasing in bulk anything you might have, even if it's just 1 or 2 pieces, or if it's 20 or 30 pieces, whatever you have, I'm willing to pay a good price for it. If you ever just want to, refresh and clean out your shelves. She's like, oh my gosh, she goes, I do this every few months. Let me have your phone number. That never would have occurred. That never would have happened if I didn't have enough guts to be like, oh, hi, is this your booth? We've got to get out of our comfort zone. We've got to push ourselves. Some of you, that comes naturally too. There's a lot of us that is like, we're shaking trying to make that happen. He's staring at me like, you never come out of your comfort zone. I'm not the one to talk to people. This is something I'm pushing myself to do more and more and more. And it's paying off. It's working. I've heard Jeremy say it a million times, and it finally sunk through my thick head to start putting it into practice. That guy's pretty smart. He knows what he's talking about. You sold your brick and mortar, always ups and downs in business. Evaluate both as learning. Yes, and focus on the people that have showed up. That's right. We're going to talk about your repeat buyers here in a minute if I ever get back to my notes. You fall into the introvert. It is super hard, but we can do it. I've told the story about my first day of college, right? I think some of you have heard this. If not, you're going to hear it again. She is talking. What is she talking? Thank you, my love. Thank you. Okay. First day of college. Now I got to set the stage here. Yes, boots on the ground. Go out and talk to people. Now I've heard that. I've heard that for years. It is only recently, and when I say recent, I'm talking like the last 2 or 3 months that I've actually put that in practice. Invalid feeder. What's an invalid feeder? Crystal, explain. I do not know what that is, but if anybody has one or knows what it is, let Crystal know. So first day of college, I was 30 years old. I did everything backwards in life. I went to school late in life. So invalid, not invalid, invalid as in sick, invalid feeder. Okay. Hey, if anybody has that, message Crystal. Okay, got it. I was reading it wrong. Maybe if I read the word correctly, it would have caught on. So I did everything backwards. I was already, 30 years old before I even started going to college. I had 3 kids. The youngest was 5 months old, and I was going to night school. I was going to college at night. I was so scared. I didn't talk to people. I got out of high school. I had a baby when I was 17. I spent my 20s working and raising kids. I had 3 kids by the time I started college. Okay. Crystal, Noelle's over here searching through Whatnot for you to try to find one for you. So I go into this class. The very first class, they're sitting, and there may be about 30 people. And the professor goes, okay, we're going to go around the room. Everybody introduce yourself. Say, what your major is. I don't know but it was basically say your name and something about yourself. This is my name. I was 30 years old. You think you would know your name by the time you're 30 years old, right? If I was sitting way back in the corner, if I was any closer to the door, I would have bolted out the door. I would have got up, grabbed my bag, and walked out. I was petrified. When I say petrified, I can't even explain the extent of the absolute mortal fear in my body to get up and say my name. That's the level of introvert. It does make you grow up fast, Ross, absolutely. So it doesn't matter where you come from. You could I don't want to say get over it, because I'm still scared every single time I talk to somebody. It's still there, but you can learn, you can train yourself to push that aside, compartmentalize it, call it whatever you want. It is possible to be that much of an introvert and do whatnot and talk to people. Is it going to be comfortable? Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. But how bad do you want this? How bad do you want to be here 5 years from now? Your desire has to be greater than your fear if you're going to make it work.
Good morning, Miss Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
Crystals. That's what it looks like. And I saw one that they were selling in a show about a week ago, and I don't know if it's sold. So I'm sure you can find it.
And don't get over trying to be an extrovert. Extroverts are like, I admire people who could talk to anybody. My husband goes into any store, any public place, and instantly has 5 friends. And here I am afraid to dial the phone and make a phone call. Glass, that was where my public... And that's when you have to do something, that's the best way to learn. When you're like, look, it's sink or swim here. I'm going to have to do this if I want this. Once you make that decision that you're in it for the long haul, these other things that have held you back in life start to become easier, start to become doable, because you're so focused on that decision. You're so invested. You're so into that decision of being here 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that you start to be able to overcome those things. It's not all it's cracked up to be. My husband told me I would never get in front on camera on a live, and here I am. There you go. How many people here, just throw an emoji or put me in the chat. If you started Whatnot and you were like, there's no way I'm showing my face, and now you show your face. If you did you were a hand model for a long time, and then finally you showed your face. That's how I started. It's common. Being in front of a camera is not easy. Not easy at all. Still a hand model. I showed my face to you from the get-go and have never looked back. I didn't show my face for about 6 months. I take it back. I did on my very first show, and then I quit showing my face after that for about 6 months. Toastmasters, that'll definitely go in. If you enroll in something like Toastmasters, that'll make you get up there and speak. Anti-6, same thing. So, all right. Once you make that decision that you are building something long term, the next thing starts happening automatically. You know what that next thing is? I hate being on camera. Thankfully, my husband doesn't mind it. Well, there you go. If you've got a team, it makes it a little bit easier. And then you can make it kind of mystery-like. But once you make that decision, guess what happens? People start to trust you. You start to build trust with people, okay? And that trust compounds over time. This is another thing. That trust is what's going to build into your longevity. So first, you've got to make that decision. You make that decision, and then what starts to happen? You show up. You're like that retail store owner. You have hours. You're going to be there come rain or shine, kind of like the mailman. No matter what's going on, you're delivering that mail. You're showing up for those shows over and over again. And people start to show up for you, and they start to trust you because they can trust that you're going to be there when you say you're going to be there. That's the first part of it. I ended up part of the show because Lulu was so nervous and I was screaming in the background. So you're just like, heck with this. I'm getting on camera. I'm doing this. So we keep trying to get Noel on camera. Every now and then he'll put himself in the bubble, but or he'll get up here every now and then, but not as much as I would like. One of my favorite stats about my business, one of the things that I do monitor and I watch really closely is repeat buyers. 83% of people who buy from me are repeat buyers. And I don't say that in a braggy way. I say that in a way because that number doesn't happen because of one good show. That doesn't happen because I had one really good banger item and they just keep coming back to see if I ever have another good banger item or not. It happens because of trust that compounds over time. It happens because it was like compound interest, these little deposits over and over and over again of trust that bring people back. And it's the same for every single one of you. Think about good morning. Think about those trust deposits that you guys make. I want you to picture a trust bank. Your Whatnot business, your live selling business, your shows are like a trust bank. Every time you do something, it's another deposit with your customers to trust you, and that brings them back again. Every time you package correctly, every time you disclose any call outs, when you're honest about your products, when you answer questions kindly, when you're not booting people at the drop of a hat, right? When you ship on time, when you thank people, when you have a consistent show, those are all little deposits over and over and over again that build up to create trust with your supporters, your buyers, anybody that's coming back to you, and that creates return buyers. I've always been such an introvert and have worked hard to overcome. I can finally get up in front of the group, but still can't show you will get there. Sister wives, it's not that hard. It really isn't as hard as you think it is. I actually think it's easier to talk to the camera than getting up in front of an auditorium full of people. So I travel around. A lot of you know that I do shows when I'm on the road. I travel around. I run conferences. I have to get up and talk to hundreds of people at a time. Sometimes I'm teaching in front of smaller groups. I find that far more difficult than this because I'm not seeing faces. Now, for comprehension, I like the group because I can see the nods and the head shake and the body language and all of that stuff. This is just easier for me to talk. I'm looking at a camera. That's all I'm doing. And I'm talking. I can picture anybody I want sitting there, best friend, kid, husband, and just act like that's who I'm talking to. So I actually find that this is easier to do than getting up in front of real people. Not that you're not real people, but live people. You disagree? Thank you, Gilly. So imagine that trust bank, because once you make your decision, the next thing that happens is people start to trust you. People are like, hey, this person shows up time and time again. They're consistent. They're doing the same show over and over again. No interacts for them. Exactly. Yeah, I could talk to my heart's content. I can ignore the chat if I want. I can keep talking. Not that that would do me any good, ignoring people, but I got full control here. How cool is that? Hey, if you are just the least little bit egotistical or narcissistic, man, this is the platform for you, right? You were like one-on-one. Not that we should be that way in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just saying, I think talking to a camera is easier than talking to a whole room full of people. I feel
also she thinks that she has the control.
he has the control.
Mwahahaha.
Tammy, congratulations, you got that giveaway. So when you think about building that trust as that next step of what happens is, it's not just doing something once, it's doing something over and over. Hundreds of those deposits, those trust deposits, create that repeat business. Again, let's go back to the main topic. We're talking about longevity, being here 5 years from now. You're not going to be here 5 years from now if you can't build up that trust. And that trust takes action on your part. So there's multiple things. And this is when I was talking about at the beginning, that if you're here for a side gig, the decision making, your actions, the core of how you're operating your business is different than when you're thinking about being here 5 years from now. Now, am I saying that people don't need to be trustworthy if you're just here on a side gig? No, thank you. You should be trustworthy, but that's that long-term effect that we're looking for. Thank you. Have a good day, Vintage Vault. See you next Friday. Thank you so much for being here this morning. That trust that you're building with your repeat people or with anybody in your room, it reduces risk. Think about this, buying on Whatnot takes a whole lot of trust from the buyer side, right? They can't physically hold this item. They are 100% dependent on you and their eyesight to determine the viability of that product. Is it good? Does it have holes? Does it not? Is it broken? What's the size of it? Every person on Whatnot, as a buyer, we are totally dependent on the seller to communicate that information to us. So it takes a whole lot of trust on the buyer side. So if you're sitting there thinking, trust isn't so good, I have a good product, I'm just going to do my job, and trusting that you're going to ship it, it is absolutely vital. That trust is vital to creating a business that's going to sustain in the long term. Because they can't, if they can't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. So buyers are buying something bigger than just the item. They're buying that trust and that confidence from you. They're confident that you're describing it honestly. They're buying confidence that you're going to ship it to them, like my husband put in there. That they're buying confidence that you're going to make sure that if something goes wrong, you're going to make it right. That's huge on Whatnot. How many people do you hear on Whatnot? As is, as seen, no cancellations. I don't care. Nope. This is an auction. We're not canceling. Look, I don't want you to cancel on me neither. But I'm also, if something's wrong, if something goes wrong and it's my fault, we're going to make it right. The insane amount of wash and wear stains, things that, you're like, I trusted you, and then you broke my trust the minute I opened that package, right? You love getting to know your customers. It makes it easy to do shows because, you talk directly to them. Once you start knowing people and you start having inside jokes and you start, you've got this bond going, it makes it so much easier. But it's hard to do that without without the face. How many of you, just throw something in the chat, how many of you feel that you start to trust a seller more when you can see their face? Does it help you trust somebody more by being able to see them on camera? It is. I totally agree. And now I am not saying that people who don't show their face are untrustworthy. I'm not saying that by any means. I'm just saying as a buyer, it helps to build that trust in seeing somebody. A thing about eyes. Are they looking at you? Are they constantly looking off on the side? Are they shady? You know, what are they doing, right? I don't like not seeing the person, usually I won't stay. This is another reason why showing your face is so important. Even if you're doing something small and the camera's mainly on your jewelry or whatever, start the show with it on you. Talk to people for a minute or two. Every now and then, turn the camera around, address the people in your room, and then go back to your selling. It's really important when you're thinking about that long-term growth, because that trust that you're building up the confidence in the buyers to buy from you, that's a big part of it right there. Having your repeat buyers, market research shows that repeat buyers are one of the best indicators of a healthy business. One way that we know people come back to you over and over again is by building that trust. So we're talking long-term business. We want a healthy business. We need to build that trust. Part of building that trust is showing your face. So when you have a repeat buyer, those aren't just sales. Those aren't just more money in your bank, more numbers. That's an indicator of the trust and an indicator of the health of your business. This is why that repeat buyers is one of the metrics in our CEO challenge, because those repeat buyers, I've done a whole show on repeat buyers before, how vital they are. When you're sick for a week, when you have the flu, who's going to be back when you come back on? Your repeat people. When you're having a show and nobody bids, who's more likely than not to be the first bidder in your show? A repeat person. We all know it as sellers. Sometimes all it takes is one person to bid and then the floodgates open and people feel comfortable again. Who's leading the way in your chat? Who's making comments, showing everybody else it's okay to joke or it's okay to talk? It's usually your repeat people. Think about that. Think about all those little pieces of your show and who is the starters? Who's the people with the chats, the bids, tapping the screen? It's usually your repeat people that are getting the ball rolling for you. It's so important to have them, and you only get them because they trust you, because you've worked on it with all those little deposits over and over and over again. It's not just one decision. It's a whole lot of little decisions that lead to something really big that grows into something long term. I really want to drive home the concept today that we're not just focusing on our show today. We're looking on where we want to be, and everything we do in the moment isn't just about the moment. It's about building that infrastructure for the future. I want to talk about some other examples of trust. I think there's a fine line of relationships with customers. This app makes it more difficult. SS Vintage, you right there. We are talking about that topic on the Reselling Roundtable Sunday night at 6:30. We are talking about, is community hurting your business? We're going to talk about that relationship with friends, the whole community aspect that we have going on here. And how does that affect your business? Because this is new. This doesn't happen. If you have a retail store, you might make friends with your customers, but this is a social app. It's community over competition. Community is all we hear. But at the end of the day, I'm a business, you're a business. How are we meshing these together? And can it be harming our businesses? It's going to be a really good one. We've built a family out of buyers that we actually talk to off the app all the time. And I totally agree. Like, there's people, I have met some of my best friends on this app, and I don't just say that flippantly. Like, there are people that I text or talk to almost daily from this app that 2 years ago I didn't even know at all. And they've become people that mean a whole lot to me. Beginning of my shows used to be slow the first 10 minutes. Now it's 100% repeat buyers who jump in and get bidding started right away. Exactly. It's those repeat people that's the core. Those are the ones that you can count on again and again. And they may change and evolve as your business grows. Good morning, Josie. And that's okay. We all, as we're growing and learning and evolving and changing in our business, so is our customers. But you're always going to have a core. There's always that core there. I know, Josie, we cut it all off. So what are ways that we build trust on Whatnot? Because this is really, really important to the whole concept of longevity. If you guys have ideas on ways that you think trust is built on Whatnot, please feel free to put it in there. I have a few of my own here. Shipping even when you're tired. Shipping on time. Shipping when you say you're going to ship. Sending a missing item without arguing. Sending something, if you realize that you didn't put something in the box, or maybe you didn't realize it and the customer contacts you, instead of saying, well, did you check the box? Is it there? Are you sure? No, I put that in the box. No, it's there. How about just saying, I'm so sorry. How disappointing that must have been for you. Let me replace it, or let me give you a refund, or let me do whatever it is in your power to do. That builds trust. Not doubting your customer's every word builds trust. Owning your mistakes. I think new potential customers sometimes feel left out when sellers only focus. They do. SS Vintage, that's such a good point. When we talk to just certain people, and I know I'm guilty of this, it's natural habit for us as people to gravitate towards others that we have a relationship with already. I will often call out I Love Discounts or Southern Charm because we're friends in real life. And I know that I can use them as an example. I can, count on them to say something. And because I talk to them so frequently or interact with them so frequently, I will call them out more often than I will other people. Not in a way where you're trying to disclude it, just because that's what's more natural to us. But it's a really good point that as sellers, we have to remember, how does it feel when everybody else has an inside joke and you're the only one who doesn't know it? Yeah. So it's kind of hard. We're going to talk about that on Sunday night, about some of those concepts on community and having friends in the business, particularly in a business like this, are waiting to sell items till a particular buyer shows up. Exactly. I don't know about that. I don't agree with that, but I know that happens. So this is where those lines of community and business blur so much. CG Boomerang Echo, thank you so much.
Welcome in, Raiders. Glad you can join us on this business and tax discussion.
CG, thank you for bringing everybody over. Y'all, my name's Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. We are doing a chat show today. We are talking about live selling business as a long-term business here. What are we doing today to make this long-term? CG, thank you for bringing everybody over. I know how wonderful you are, but for those of you who don't, can you please put in the chat who you are, what you do, what you sell, all of those details so people can follow you. I will give you guys, thank you so much, the Family Array. I will give you a little sneak peek. CG Boomerang Echo is also known as the Queen of Raid Trains. She does host 1,052 raid trains. You can check her out, not only here on Whatnot, but she has a website, boomerangecho.com, where there's a ton of information about raid trains and other things on there. She does a raid train show once a week where she talks about being on raid trains, running raid trains, all the raid train things. And she is also on every morning at 7:30 till about 8 a.m. In her bathrobe, where she talks about all kinds of cool stuff. And that's where she announces her secret raid train. So if you want to get on a secret one, go see her show in the mornings. Thank you so much for coming over here. All right. So, not 1,052. So other ways we're building trust, owning our mistakes. She's on the app. Okay, cool. So you can find her there too. Refunding fairly, not just doing refunds to people you like, but refunding when it's appropriate to refund people. This is one of the things that to me is a trust breaker that I see on this app all the time. So many people. And look, I agree this is an auction site. Buyers should know it's an auction site. They should bid as an auction site. But there's a whole influx of people who have never bid on an auction before. There's a whole bunch of people who have no clue how auctions are run, no clue of auction, not ethics, but etiquette or behavior. And they're going to ask for refunds. They're going to get something and they're going to think it's Amazon. And they're going to say, oh, it just doesn't fit right. I don't like it. I want to return it. The more fair we are, the more acceptable and approachable we are, the more trust we build. I'm not saying establish your business in a way of giving everybody their money back, regardless of anything, but consider that. It's something to consider. I pretty much don't deny refunds. Why? I'd rather have the goodwill with the person and the fact of possibly them coming back as a repeat person than deal with the bad side of it. I'd rather build the trust than break the trust. The cost for me to build that trust, the future benefit, the long term, again, I'm not thinking about today. I'm not thinking about the dollars in my pocket today. I'm thinking about the long term benefit. We're talking about, I want to be here 5 years from now. The cost to do a refund is minuscule compared to the benefits that may arrive from that transaction long term. So the big differentiator here is our decisions are either based in the moment and on that show and on that day, because that's all we're focused on. We're focused on a few bucks for a side gig. Or we focused our decisions and our policies and our procedures and the things we do on the long term, even if it cost us a little bit today. Following terms of service. Following terms of service builds a lot of trust with your people. Even if everybody else is doing it. Remember that old thing? Whose mom told them? Well, just because everybody else jumps off a bridge doesn't mean you need to jump off a bridge. Y'all, did you hear that when you were a kid? I think I heard that every single week when I was a kid. Just because somebody else isn't following terms of service doesn't mean you need to not follow terms of service. You following terms of service builds trust with your buyers. I cannot tell you how many times I go into somebody's room, and when people who should know better, there's CG Boomerang Echo. Look how beautiful she is. How many times I go into somebody's room, and these are like sometimes big people who've been around, like OGs, and they have bookmarked this show and it's some ridiculous price. That's against terms of service. Or they have buy me a coffee, buy me a dinner in their bin. When I see these things, yeah, are they little? They're little things. Are they hurting me? No, they're not hurting me. But you know what it is doing? It's breaking my trust with you. Does it completely shatter it? Probably not shatter it, but it's putting little dings in that trust. And those little dings hurt just as much as the deposits help, right? It's a little ding in the trust of you either just don't take the time to follow the rules, you don't care about the rules, you've just made a conscious decision not to follow the rules. I don't know what it is, but I kind of don't trust you. If you're not following that rule, are you going to follow the rules on shipping? How are you going to be in returning items to me? How are you going to be about owning mistakes that you make? Now my confidence in you is getting less and less and less as a seller because of these little dings, these small acts of not following terms of service. And then just following through with what you say. Now, this is a hard one for me. What is our bat signal against? Bat signals are okay, but they have to be for a reasonable dollar amount. They have to be reasonable for whatever it is that you're offering. If somebody were to accidentally swipe on it or hit the buy now, it needs to be a reasonable price for whatever it is that you're going to send them. So my buy now for this one, for example, or my back call for this is, I'll pin it really quick. There's my back call. You're going to get access to our whole library of guides. So reasonable price, that's a price you can buy the library on its own. If you buy it here, you're also getting that. So it's reasonable price for what you're getting. So that's all it means. You can't have the 9999999. That's some crazy number. You're not allowed to have that. I do my bat signal as an auction item so no one ever accidentally buys it. And you just never run it. Yeah. There's plenty of different ways to do it. The point is that when people aren't following those terms of service, that starts to break down that trust. There's multitudes of ways that you can build trust with your buyers. You can set them up as an auction or flash sale. It just can't be overpriced. I use $1 million because it would always decline, but you can't do it. That's against terms of service. Like 27,000. Yeah, you need to change it. When I see that, I know they don't read terms of service or attend community shows to learn. Married that, and that's what I'm saying. I may give somebody a benefit of the doubt. And look, I'm not the whatnot police. I'm not reporting you because you have buy me a coffee or buy my dog a treat or buy me a dinner or because you have an unrealistic price on your back call. I'm not going to report you, but I am going to question you a bit. You ding my trust in you when I see that. When I go to buy from you, that's going to be in my head. Do I really want to buy from this person? And for me to shut up for a lifetime. Sounds like I'm going to add buy me a new car. Sounds legit. So we're talking that trust. So one sold the other day for almost $700,000. It was wild. I'm sure it got declined. It had to have gotten declined. And this is part of what I think drove this. Because, look, Whatnot only makes rules just as us as parents, right? We make rules to protect our kids or to keep them healthy, basically to protect people, right? That's why rules are made. Whatnot's not just going to make an arbitrary rule just because they woke up one morning and decided to say, hey, I don't like these. Let's not do these anymore. No, what happened is there was probably declined. Every time one of those transactions is declined, it's still a transactions on Whatnot books. It has to go through their accounting system. There's 2 transactions, one that records it, one that removes it. That's accounting, that's reconciliation, that's bookkeeping. There's processes on Whatnot. It's costing them time and money every time somebody clicks on ones and has it declined. That became an issue probably to Whatnot. On the long term, you start adding that up, how many times this happens, and Whatnot's like, we're spending too many hours and too much manpower and dollars on this. We're going to have to make it so it's against terms of service.
And if you go a little bit further, think about, let's say, for example, you have your account tied to Whatnot and you swipe that $1 million listing. What's going to happen is the bank is going to take it as a good face value. They're going to go ahead and withdraw all your funds, overdrawn your account, and then you're going to have the headache on that.
Or just in my instance, the bank would just instantly decline it because there's not $1 million sitting there. But so if trust is built up through all these little trust deposits, right? Trust is built up through repetition. What allows us to keep repeating these great experiences without burning ourselves out? Because I just talked about a whole lot of stuff and you're like, man, that's a lot of things to do to build this trust, to keep the trust. We had a client accidentally swipe on 10,000. It went through. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, now if they really didn't want it, now they got to contact Whatnot or they got to cancel. They're 200 now. So I attended the Best of Community shows. Okay. So what are we doing not to burn ourselves out? Because this is a lot. This is like, we've already talked about being committed, showing up when you say you're going to show up, making sure we're building trust in a multitude of ways we didn't even think about were trust building things. And you're like, man, and I got to do inventory, and I got to run the show, and I got to ship. So how do we keep from burning ourselves out through all of this? Because we still want to be here 5 years from now, because the goal is to be here long term. Systems. You knew I was going to say it. I'm huge on systems. Systems enable sustainability. You want to be here 5 years from now. You cannot keep reinventing the wheel week after week after week. You need to make a decision one time and put it in place and follow the system. Good morning, Medic Girl. Going to me is good, but still fat. Exactly. Forgotten memories right there. Listen to us and then go verify what we say. Me included. I am not setting myself apart from all of this. Anything I tell you, if I don't bring up terms of service on the screen, you should be able to go there and find it yourself. I do want you to act like grown-ups. I know, adulting, it sucks. It really sucks.
I don't think so. You don't have to act like a grown-up, but you do have to deal with the consequences if you don't.
Yep. You burn out when you have to rebuild your business week after week after week. Why put us through that? There's a very easy solution to stop the burnout here. And a lot of it is decision fatigue. So if every Saturday or Sunday or Monday, oh good, that's Thrifty Cottage, I'm so glad you like it. If every, whatever day of the week you do your planning on, I'm going to say Saturday for the sake of saying it. If every Saturday you start saying, okay, what shows am I doing this week? What am I going to sell? What should my thumbnail look like? What should my titles be? Oh, what's my price? How am I going to price this? Should I do reduced this week? Should I not do reduced? That's decision fatigue. Why are you making those same decisions over and over and over again every single week? Make it once, set it and forget it. Set it and forget it. Make those decisions into a system. And then you just move on with your business. Save that brain power for the things that need it. Don't wear out your brain on all these little decisions that you can make one time instead of making week after week. Save all that brain power for the big stuff, to be creative, to come up with new ideas, to come up with new marketing plans, the things that really take some thought in your business. Oh, good, Robin's Closet. I'm so happy. You don't even get a back call. They're pretty important, actually. Until Whatnot does away with them, I would get a back call. The reason, if you don't have a back call, just in case you're like, what is it? Why do I need one? Most people, and I'm curious here, how many people have their notifications turned off so that every time your favorite seller goes live, you don't know? How many people turn off? I can't. I follow enough people that it would drive me absolutely freaking insane. Okay, there you go. So having back calls allow those of us that turn our notifications off to bookmark something, bookmark one of these listings for us to be notified just for the very specific ones that we want to be notified for. I have about 10 back calls bookmarked. Those 10 people are 10 people that I want to know when they go live, I want to go see their shows. So that's why having a back call is so important, because those you're notified in a different way than when shows go live. It's a different notification process. Only bookmarks come through. Yep. Thank you, Be More Thrifty. I appreciate that. You can pick and choose your. Oh, I didn't know that, Sassy. I just turn them all off, and then I only do the one. Yes, you get a ton of notifications. Good morning. Thank you so much, Chris Marie. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go back to talking about decision fatigue.
Robbins, I got your message. Don't worry, it's working. So it should be okay.
You get notifications from people you don't even follow. Yeah, go and check your settings, and then you can start to bookmark people. Or like Sassy Vintage Chick says, maybe within those notification settings, maybe there's some more options that you can be a little more selective on what you want to hear about and what you don't want to hear about. So if you're reinventing the wheel every week, you're making all these decisions all the time, by the time you actually do your show, you're mentally drained. You're already exhausted yourself. You've already spent all this energy that you didn't have to spend, and you haven't even done a show yet. And we need our energy for our shows. This is where the focus of our energy should be. So systems remove those decisions. Make it once, don't make it 50 times. What are some examples of things we can make decisions about? A repeatable show format. How do I run my show? I don't need to decide that every time I do my show. I have a set format that I use over and over again. That's like your show flow. Sourcing boundaries. I don't have to decide, does this work for me every single time I source? I have a set of boundaries, a set of rules. I've decided on those rules. That's it. It's a yes or a no. It's a very easy process when I source, if I'm buying it or not. I don't have to stand in an antique store and Google Lens it and contemplate it and figure out if I want it. No, I have a couple of rules. I look at the item, yes or no. Boom, boom, boom. Nice and easy. Shipping processes. Lay out your process. Good morning, visuals. Lay out your process and follow your process. You shouldn't have to figure out how to ship over and over and over and over again. Do the same thing to where it's like muscle memory. Your body just starts remembering, this is what I'm doing. I do this and I do this and I do this. Except when I say no more big items, I know. My sourcing rules. Does it fit in a 12 by 12 box? 12 by 12 by 12 box. Is it easy to ship? That's the only rule that I occasionally will break, such as this bread box behind me. If there's certain items, that's a one rule that I will sometimes break. Good morning, Lori. Does it fit in a 12 by 12 box? Am I comfortable starting this for $1? Is it within a price range that I'm comfortable starting it for $1? Why do I have that? Because I've already established my pricing. I don't have to decide my pricing. My pricing is $1. So does it fit with it for the $1 start? What was the third one? I think those are the two big ones that I go by. 12 by 12. Am I comfortable? So, does it fit in my themes? Does it fit within one of my 4 aesthetics? What is being... Girl Mess says we'll make it work somehow. Yeah, sometimes, yes. We'll make it work. I'll fit that dang thing in a 12 by 12 box now. And does it fit one of my aesthetics? If it doesn't fit in something I'm already selling in my show, why am I buying a giraffe statue that's not a primitive, not a warm embrace, not a timeless and elegant, or not a glowy glass item? If it doesn't fit in one of my aesthetics, I have no reason I'm buying it. Lori, thank you so much. Cut it all off yesterday. So that's a system for me. Having rules in place about what I buy makes it super easy to shop. Means I don't get decision fatigue. Means I can get in and out of an antique store in an hour. I can go to an antique store that has 200 booths and be in and out in an hour if I need to, because it's a quick go through because I have those decisions down pat. Organizing your inventory is a system. I also see she loves Lysandra, and I just yes, Lysandra and I were very much alike and very much different at the same time. She is more wild and crazy than I am, and I'm very reserved and like just subdued. But we think a lot alike. We have a lot of the same business focus and mindset, which it really, I think that forms a lot of the base of our friendship, because we do have a lot of the same thought process. Doesn't care about the size and weight unless it's excessive. I dated a mailman who told me the post office doesn't care about size and weight. First of all, any man telling you that don't worry about size, man, that's a man, just saying. But size and weight matters. You must change the dimensions and the weight on every single shipment that goes out. Those are rules. No argument. That's a system right there. You change the size and the weight on everything. Do I have a price limit? It's not necessarily a price limit. I look at the price and I ask myself, am I comfortable starting this? Am I comfortable starting this for $1? So maybe the price is $5. Maybe it's a $70 item that I'm buying. I ask myself, am I comfortable starting this for $1? Thinking in my head, what is a realistic bidding point that people will bid this up to? So, for example, I don't know if you can see. You can see this duck up here? Let me see if I can get this down. I bought this yesterday. This guy is gorgeous. This is a glass duck on a nest. It is absolutely stunning. I paid a considerable amount for this. Oh, we'll show you from the side. I paid a considerable amount for this. I will be running this for $1. My decision was, does this fit in a 12 by 12 box? Which way are we going here? Yes, it does. It fits in a 12 by 12 box. It's beautiful glass. Am I comfortable starting it for $1? Even with what I paid for it? Yes, I am, because I feel people will bid higher than what I paid for it. Does it fit in my aesthetics? It does. It fits in my warm embrace aesthetic. That's I know the eyes are everything on this duck. It fits in my warm embrace show. So it's not necessarily a price point. It's, do I feel that the bids that I can get for that will be higher than the price I'm paying with me starting it at $1. So, but think about your systems, your show flows. Are your books updated? Is your inventory organized? Why should you have to go and dig through box after box, bin after bin after bin to do a show? Is there any sense in having a bunch of bins that you have to dig through? Nope, forgot memories, no B boxes yet. Still looking. I will find one as soon as they quit selling for as much as they're selling for. You have 74 people. I've never had that. So I can't start. The Glass Queen, you are 100% incorrect. I'm not calling you out in a bad way, but you're 100% incorrect. I started running things. You think they are? They're this evasive creature. I started selling things for $1 when I had an average of 12 to 15 people in the room. You do not need to have 100 people, 74 people in the room to sell things for $1. I get more people in these shows than I do my selling shows. I rarely have 74 people in a selling show. So we will talk about, if we have time, we'll talk about dollar starts. Livy, thank you so much. Later on, I'm going to keep going, but we'll get there, because I can do a whole 2 hours on dollar starts. So think about your systems. I was talking about inventory. Just switch, there you go, the Aaron, to $1 this week. I'm not sure I can go back. For reals, absolutely for reals. Thank you so much, Weekland Vintage. If you have a bunch of tubs with your inventory, who here has the inventory in tubs? Who has a bunch of them big old Rubbermaid tubs, and that's how you store your inventory? Okay. Are they all labeled and you can know exactly where something is in any one of those tubs? Labeled and organized. We have a hell no, I'm not that organized. No. QR code. Yeah, QR code is awesome. That's good labeling. Getting better, you wish. How much time would it save you if you made your inventory into a system? A system that works for you. It doesn't have to be, Marie Kondo or whatever her name is, or any of these fancy systems. A system that works for you. Photo album? No, I'm organizing. Think about if you knew exactly where everything is. My system, I can't put things in tubs because I'll tell you what, I'll never open them damn tubs. The hell with it. I'll just go buy new stuff. I'm not going to open tubs. I have to have shelving. I do one shelf for every type of show I do. That's it. That's as much organization as I have. This rolling cart is for Warm Embrace. This rolling cart is for Glowing Glass. But it's organized. I can tell instantly. I can walk up and look. Do I have enough to do a show? I'm about to go source. What do I need to focus on buying today? I can look at 4 different rolling carts for 4 different shows and know what I need to source for. Where am I short on? What do I have too much inventory of that I don't need to worry about? That's organization in its very simplest form. That's a system. That makes my system really easy. Shelves are, Daisy Lane, I'm right there. Shelves, I have to be able to see it. I will not dig through tubs. So think about how much time it would save you to have a system of organization with your inventory. And that would hopefully prevent some of the burnout. Because if we're connecting this, we're talking about being here 5 years from now. We have to make that commitment. We have to build the trust. We have to do all the things we do, and we have to do that without burnout if we still want to be here 5 years from now. The only way to do it without burnout is to make these repeatable processes as easy as you possibly can. We do that by applying systems to them. The more systems we have, the less decision fatigue we get on these things that don't need our decision making, and we can move on and focus on areas that really need it for our business. You're going to organize. Awesome. Now that's probably a chore, Southern Charm, because I know you guys have a ton of Christmas. So systems sound boring, you guys. I know they do. But boring can create consistency. Consistency creates profit. Boring can move to profit pretty darn quick. It's not exciting, but it works. I photographed and throw in tub for future theme that works. If not, they don't help me. So then do you have stuff photographed? You do everybody needs to set up the system that works for you. That type of system would never work for me because then I would have to organize the photos and that would take too long for me. Like I just need fast and easy. I can't spend a lot of time doing something. I have to be able to unpack, unwrap everything when I bring it in my house, put it on a shelf, and now it's done. Like I don't want to spend any more time than that. PT Grace, thank you so much for being here. Okay. So then the next thing, so we've got here, we're not burning ourselves out, we have trust, we're showing up when we're supposed to show up. Authority grows consistently. So when you start doing all of these things, you start to establish yourself as an authority figure for your shows. Now there's 2 things about authority figures. There's 2 things about this. It can be taken in a good way and a bad way. I'm going to go over both of them. We have totes of jewelry, mostly divided by lot. That's it. And if that works, as long as it's in an organized way for you, where you're not having to every single show, let's go pull out 15 totes, let's dig through them and figure out what I'm doing. Just organize them by show to begin with. Then you go to do a show, you grab a tote, and there you go. Like that's the kind of system I'm talking about, making it as easy as possible to reduce how much time, effort, and mental energy you're spending on something over and over and over and over again. Boring but consistent. There you go. That's me too, 10 Mile Studio. Boring but consistent.
So
thank you, Catches by Kathy.
Sassy was talking about different goals in business, and I sent her a little story about a fisherman and a businessman. Now, if you are happy the way you are conducting your business, then that's great. If there's ways that you can improve, that's awesome. You can also think about if you want within your goals is to grow. If you want to grow, then can someone else replicate what you do? Is it easy to replicate or to teach, to train? And that's when you start to think, are the systems that I have efficient? So if not, then it's okay where you are.
Savannah Banana Antiques. I love your question because that is who I am, and the core of my being is accounting and taxes. So first off, I don't store and organize them for tax reasons. I store and organize them because good business owners do their accounting on a regular basis and their bookkeeping to make decisions. So my receipts, actually, I have the most simplest thing for my receipts. I keep my records on a spreadsheet. Once a week, I sit down and I update my income, my expense, my inventory on spreadsheets. All of my receipts go into a big box. Yep, all the receipts as a CPA, I don't file them. I don't do anything. Occasionally, I may make a note on one if necessary. They go into a box because everything is noted on a regular basis on my spreadsheets. I can then run reports from my spreadsheets. I can pull information, do filtering, do graphs, whatever I need to make decisions for my business, see where I am, project where I want to go in the future financially from my spreadsheets. All those receipts go in a box, probably never to be touched again, because the only time you actually need that physical receipt is if you get audited. So if I ever were to be audited, it'd be a pain in the ass to go through all those receipts, but I would do it. But the odds of having to do it, there's not enough risk of being audited to spend the time to organize those receipts. On the rare chance I am audited, I will spend the time then to go through receipts. So hopefully that answered your question. Okay, we're talking about authority grows consistently. So authority is not something you bring to the table. This is a huge misconception that I'm going to show up, and if I show up confidently, I'm bringing authority to the room. No, you're not bringing authority. You're bringing confidence to the room. Authority is assigned. Authority is given to you by other people. So in essence, you somewhat earn authority. Authority is assigned to you. And why does that matter? It's because when people give you that authority in their life, in their whatnot world, I say life, that sounds really big, but in your whatnot world, they stop asking, what do you do? And they start asking, what do you recommend? Let's see, I've been using ChatGPT to keep track of my tax deductions and etc. Is that something you recommend? No, I would not let ChatGPT keep track of my accounting. I would recommend a spreadsheet, pen and paper, an accounting program, whatever is going to work for you. I would not rely on ChatGPT. ChatGPT can give what's called they can hallucinate, give you information that's not real, give you information that makes it sound like you're doing good. ChatGPT is your biggest hype man ever. You're not getting. It may give you some historical data. It's good to help analyze data that you're accumulating, but not good to track your data. You don't itemize on a spreadsheet though, right? I'm sorry, you're not breaking up the flow. I do itemize. I list out every source of revenue and every expense. So that is itemized. Who's going to get that giveaway real quick? Savannah Banana, you're getting that giveaway. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I list out every source of revenue, every expense that I have on my spreadsheet. I have one tab for revenue, one tab for expenses. The exact sheet I use is actually for sale. It is, let me find it. Right here. I'm going to pin this. PT Grace, I'm getting to you. So this is in here. There's 31 to choose from. If you go in there and look at variance, there's a revenue and expense tracker. That is the exact one that I use. So I do track itemized revenue, expenses, and then inventory. I do in bulk. I do it by lots. I do it on averages, not by individual item. Let's see. What if you're selling items you have had for years in your home that don't have receipts? What are you putting on the spreadsheet for cost? That you need, if you don't have a receipt and you can't remember it, use a thrift store value. So whatever the actual value at a thrift store is, that's the best you can do. If you can't recreate it in a logical manner, then you need, if it's a shirt that goes for $2.99 at Goodwill, then I would put $2.99 as my cost for lack of having anything else. Like an auction lot. Yes, like an auction lot, Libby. That's how I do my inventory. But you record the trip total, not each item and its cost. You record the trip total. I'm trying to figure out exactly what you're asking. The trip total, not each item and its cost. Let me give you an example. When I go to the, like yesterday, I went to the antique store. Let's just say I spent $500. I would list $500 as my inventory cost. And then for my cost of goods, if it's $500 and I bought 100 things, that's $5 each. That's how I get my cost of goods. I do it in totals and averages. Unless there's some specific items, I may do some specific items if I buy something really big. If I do a swung base, that's a like specific identification item. But mostly I do in bulk. No, I do not list each item from the lot. That would take forever. And you don't have to. No, when I buy from a garage sale, I rent. Perfect. That's exactly, the glass grinding is exactly what you need to do. You don't have to itemize it, but you need to keep track of it in a logbook, so a book or receipts of some sort. Okay, so let's, if I missed a question, please ask it again. I'm not trying to miss any questions. I'm going to take these words off the screen though. Okay, so authority is what other people assign to you. And there is an actual psychological concept called authority bias. And I want to talk how this fits into long term. Is a spreadsheet, is that the financial workbook? Yes, yes, it is. I think that's the title of it. Marjorie, I have about 10,000 in inventory. I wish I could hire someone to come and catalog everything for me because I have no clue. How do I go back? You need to just take a minute, take a day, walk through your inventory and make a list. It doesn't have to be an itemized list. The IRS doesn't care. And for you in accounting, you don't need to know, I have a vase, I have a shirt, I have this, I have that. What you need to know is, what does it cost? What's your cost in that? That's all you need to know. So go through and figure out each item, the cost of the item. And if you absolutely kept no records and have no clue, then assign a thrift store cost. Get it recorded right now today and move forward and start keeping up on it going forward. Mel, I know I cut it all off. Thank you, though. So you note expense averages when incurred for tracking, only for inventory, but for accounting, you only record the expense when sold. Okay, so we're talking about inventory, the loss ledger. I'm sure that's what you're referring to. When I get my, yes, what he's telling me to wait. Hold on. I'm getting the, hold on, wait. He's like asking questions here. Okay. When you buy inventory, you have cash in the bank. You trade your cash for inventory. It's an asset sitting on your books. Okay. At that point, I record the asset in total. Like I just said, $500 spent at the auction. I have $500 of inventory now. I don't record every single item. Now, for my cost of goods, I will make a note, or I use little stickers on my items that where it says, okay, if I bought 100 items, my cost of goods is $5 per item. I don't need to know my cost of goods immediately. That's not an accounting function right off the bat. Then when I sell the item, it becomes an expense. That's when my cost of goods becomes important, because I'm not selling all $500 of that inventory in one show. I'm selling piece by piece, right? So I have $5 cost of goods for every item I sold out of that lot. This is where my colored dots come into play. Usually I'll stick a colored dot on something which represents my cost. I have dots for $1, $2, $3, and so forth. And that's how I can walk through my inventory and know how much I spent on things. So I record in total, the inventory is 500. Then my cost of goods, I look back through shows and I'll record per show, this much I spent, $200 cost of goods for this show. I hope that makes sense. But I do it in a lot bigger. I don't go item by item. That will take way too long. I don't need to. I don't have advanced computer systems. I don't have a staff of people. As you start to get into bigger corporations and you have all these people, that's what creates jobs, and things are itemized piece by piece by piece. At the level I'm at now, all I need is 4 things for my inventory. What did I start with? What did I add to it? What did I sell? And what's the ending? And what I added and what I sold does not have to be individual items. Yes, inventory, but perhaps you're only discussing business expenses. Business expenses, I itemize out row by row. If I go buy bubble wrap at Sam's, I put Sam's Club, bubble wrap, $85. And then maybe I went and bought some boxes, the boxery, boxes for shipping, $200, whatever it is. So I do that, vendor by vendor, purchase by purchase. Yeah, forgotten members, you can never do it that way. All you would do is list things. Thank you, the Lost Ledger. And Mel. I know I said thank you to Mel earlier. Do you have color dot source you like because they are easily removed? I just buy cheap ones off Amazon. And they come off pretty good for the most part. For the most part. Sometimes I work at it, depending on how long something sits there. Things I'm working on trying not to have inventory sitting for very long. Okay, let's talk about authority bias. When there is a psychological concept called authority bias. When somebody comes into your room, when I go into somebody's room, instantly I assign authority to that person I assign that authority to the person as they're the expert, they know what they're doing in their room. Whether it's right or wrong. It's just it's a psychological concept we have. When you go into a lecture hall, when you were in college, immediately your mind assigned authority to the professor who is standing there. They're the authority figure in the room. When you're in business, you walk into a room that has your CEO sitting there or your CFO, you assign authority to that figure, your boss. Okay? And when I say authority, I'm not talking about somebody who's going to rule your life. It's a general psychological concept. The same thing happens when we go into a whatnot room. So us as sellers, the people in our room assign us that authority. Now it's our job to use that for good or evil. We can use it in either way. I can take that authority and I can use this to explain my items. I can talk about the coffee cup. I can tell you the history of it. I can tell a story about it. So I'm using the authority in a good, positive way. When asked accounting and tax questions, I can use that authority bias that you've assigned to me, that bias in your head that I'm an authority figure on this based on my experience and education to answer those questions appropriately. Or I can do it the other way, and I can take it and use it for evil, where I can say, hey, you've walked into my room instantly. I'm the authority in this chat show because I'm doing a seller support chat show. You're coming to me to hear ask questions and for me to provide answers. So that's how you've assigned that authority, right? Now you can ask a tax question and I can give you a whole lot of bullshit. I can just go, mama, and you're going to, if you don't know any different, if you don't verify, you're just trusting me, you can walk away with bad tax advice. This is how we can use the authority bias for good or for evil. We as sellers have to be very careful to only use it for good. We can't move over to the dark side, right? We have to use that authority bias for good, which means we're appropriately stating terms of service. We're telling the truth. We're telling stories that, I'm not going to say, hey, this is from the 1940s when all of you are, know that I got it at Target, right? So I'm trying to connect. This is kind of a very high level theory here. Until we are running a show and a seller we look to comes in and we get starstruck again. Yes, true. It's easy to get starstruck, easy to fangirl over people, but I'm the authority of chasing squirrels. Oh my goodness. Getting frustrated with some bigger sellers using that in chat of other sellers. Using what in chat? Like the authority bias. So expand a little bit, Livia. I'm not sure I totally get what you're saying there. So part of that authority, this helps in your long-term. So what we're actually talking about is getting to the long-term goal, right? How are we going to stay that we're here in 5 years? How does this play into that? This establishes who you are. It helps build that base. So my foundation, the base that I'm building, like stating prices and stuff. Yeah, that's not, you should refrain from it in most people's rooms. Because that's not always true. But like what I'm doing is growing in accounting and tax business here on Whatnot, in addition to my vintage decor. So I'm using my experience, my expertise, the authority that you guys freely give me, and thankfully to educate. Other people should be doing that in their ways of. Daisy Lane does this very well. She uses the authority that you guys give her as being an expert or a very knowledgeable person on the antiques and vintage that she brings you. She tells amazing stories, where they're from, who made them, maybe some history of who used to own the piece, something like that. So that it's not just used in like an educational context. It could be used in your selling, and how you use that builds into that trust and supports all of the other things we've been talking about all morning. So just understanding that as a seller, when someone comes in your room, I'll just be all over accounting. Maybe someday, Libby, maybe. So understanding that when people come into your room, they instantly look to you as you are the expert in that room. This is your show. You're running the show. Everything you say that comes out of your mouth holds power, holds huge power as an authority person in your room. There's nobody else in your room with you, right? You and your spouse or you and your best friend, whatever. The people who are putting on the show. Um, so I just got a red chat. Thank you. So you have to remember that when you're in the room on what you're saying. That can either destroy the trust of the people you have or build the trust up. If I were to sit here and give you bad tax advice, bad accounting advice, or tell you you should only do it my way and no other way, you're not going to trust me for very long. That's not going to help in the longevity of my business. So using that bias that I know you walk into my room with, I need to handle that carefully and gently and make sure that I'm doing what I can to preserve that. I hope that kind of makes sense, because it is kind of a high level psychological type of a bias and a theory, but it absolutely plays into the long-term trust and longevity of a business. Do you think being honest with what you're not in? Absolutely. If you don't know something, don't fake it. I don't know that. Let me go look that up. Or, hey, there's been quite a few times people ask me a question. I'm like, that sounds pretty familiar. I know there's some concepts around this in accounting or tax. Message me so I don't forget, and I'll go look it up. Or let's set up a phone call to talk about it. There's a lot of things that this world is a big world. There's nobody who knows everything. Earlier today we talked about terms of service. I'm like, I'm not sure if this is on terms of service, but I want to go look it up. There has to be something around this, right? So being an expert, and when you're selling, the same authority process fits in there. If I'm selling this cup and I don't know who made it, me saying that is okay. You don't have to be the expert on everything. Being truthful and honest and transparent is part of that trust building. It's, you guys, I don't know who made this. I love it though. Like, who doesn't need a mug with a T on it? Absolutely love this. But if you know who made it, please put it in the chat. So being transparent like that, 100%. Own what you don't know. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot on this. It's just the fact that we all own this responsibility in our shows. So every time you go into a show, whether you realize it or not, you give that person some level of authority, and then they will start to chip away at it. Like I don't bring it to you, you bring it to the room, to any room that you go into. Let's take a brand new seller wanting to do a seller support show. I see nothing wrong with brand new people doing get to know me. Let's talk about my journey shows. Let's talk about crafting. Let's talk about this, that, or the other thing. But if you have 50 sales, you damn well shouldn't be doing seller support shows, because you don't even know what you're doing yet. I'm just going to put it out there. So I'm getting a message here. Vintage Hire in Virginia, please check your DMs. My husband's like, tell them to check their DMs. Her, I'm saying her because Virginia is her to me. But so you totally just made me lose my train of thought with that. A chat show with 50 people. The minute I go into your room, that's going to hold true for me. I'm going to say, okay, you're an authority, but then I'm going to look at the details about this. And the fact that you're putting yourself out as a seller support when you have 50 people is going to start chipping away at that authority. You can lose that authority the same way you lose trust, right? So everything you do needs to line up and fit in order to propel that business forward. New sellers should not do seller support. You should have some experience underneath you. I'm sorry. You can't have 50 sales and then tell people how to do stuff. You haven't done enough to tell people how to do it. Now, you have done enough to talk about, okay, this has been my experience so far. That's very valid. You have an experience. You have knowledge to talk about your experience. You could talk about something you're an expert in. I did seller supports well before I only had a couple hundred sales on taxes, because I have experience in that. I wasn't answering whatnot questions because I did not have enough experience to answer anybody's whatnot questions. So, yeah, and it's doing support shows as encouragement, as community. I have a huge problem with people doing support shows like pure seller support shows if you don't have the experience to do it. So hopefully that's one of the things they'll be looking at. So what show are you teasing us with on the shelves? This is tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. This is my warm embrace. So all kinds of ducks, woods, brass type items. The warm embrace, the room that makes you feel like you have a hug when you walk into it. That's what's coming tomorrow morning at 8. Everything behind me. Who was the seller that did their entire experience as a seller, like from day one? Oh, Daisy Lane. And I'll call her out because this is a good way. Daisy Lane has been a perfect example of how to do seller support shows and to go from the very beginning to actual seller support. She, like her second or third show was, she didn't call it a support show. She is like a community. I don't know her exact name. If she's here, Daisy, if you're here, or share, please put in the chat. But PT Grace, I'll answer that question in 1 second. But she started doing shows right from her very first week of, here's what my experience is. I'm learning, help me learn this app. Come along my journey and help me learn this app. So chat and learn, thank you. And so every week she would do chat and learn. Well, you know what? She's well over a year in now. Those are seller support shows. Those have evolved. They're still, I think she still calls them chat and learn, but they've evolved to where now she has so much experience. She could advise and answer questions. But at the first week, she didn't have experience on Whatnot in 1 week. But what she did to grow that community was to say, hey, here's what's happening in my world this week. Can you help me? Let's talk about it. Let's have some fun and discuss this. Perfect example of how to do a chat show when you're brand new. And now hers has evolved to where people come and ask for advice and questions. And through her growth, she's more than qualified to give it now, right?
Sassy, I'm coming to get it.
So I got a question on the rewards cards in my show notes. So today's rewards cards are 8 and 17. If you are new to Zoe's Treasures, we do, I don't do Whatnot reward system. We developed our own. So every time a box leaves my house, you get a rewards card. Each of them have different numbers on them. Each card itself is worth $2. And then in $2 coupon by using the code on the back. Then in every single show, if you have more, that whatever numbers are shown in there, you can combine those codes together for $5 off. Sometimes it's $8, and the price off gets bigger and bigger as we go through the year. So if you get one of these, don't throw it away. You can use it instantly for $2 and then save it because it's worth more money as the year goes on because you combine them with other cards. Okay. All right, so all of that makes sense that I was talking about. Hopefully all that makes sense. Did that clear it up for you, PT Grace? So basically, anybody who has card 8 and 17 today could put those codes together for $5 off. So the reason I did this, let's just talk about it for a second. I used to use Whatnot Rewards. I have nothing against it. Worked great. Going into this year, I wanted something more unique, something that was branded more to me, something that would work across all of my business lines. So I came up with the rewards cards. And it works like this. You buy something, you get one card. Okay, and there's different colors for each quarter. You get a card, instantly it's a coupon. You can come back, hopefully buy something more, use that coupon. I wanted to encourage more sales. I think you should use coupons for whatever, you should have a purpose for them. Mine is to encourage sales. So if you bought something more, you get another card. You buy something more, you get another card. As you collect the cards, I'm going to reward you for continuing to buy from me with bigger and bigger discounts. So that's the essence behind the cards. I was having a hard time with the reward system. For the diamond people, I already do a very low reduced shipping and dollar starts on how do I reward my gold people. I do keep track of that marketing. If you were to gather every single card that I offer, and there are a few people who do have every card that I've put out to date, if you were to collect every single card and take advantage of every single combination, you would save $1,526 at the end of the year by projected. It may be more if I do bigger discounts by year end. So by collecting all the cards, are worth about $1,500 in free merchandise to you. I do keep track of that. The cards cost me, I print 900 a quarter. They cost me $80 a quarter to print. So they're very inexpensive. That's $80 for 900 cards. Just put that in perspective. That's pennies per card to print. And I have a 2% usage rate. So those of you saying, I can't afford to do coupons, and Southern Charm may have extra cards, yeah. And I don't care if you can transfer them around, because you know what? You're going to save a little bit of money, but you're going to spend money with me. Yeah, and right there, I Love Discounts never uses them. Only 2% of people, actually mine is 1.7% of my coupons are redeemed. So less than 2%. So what does this do? A coupon gives you goodwill. Somebody gets it. They're like, hey, this is cool. My name again now is in front of you. You've probably set that card down. Some people throw them away. That's okay. But you're going to come across that card again eventually, and you're going to see it says Zoe's Treasures on there. For the people that do use them, it brings them back. When people are using coupons, they tend to bid higher, because if I can spend $10 for something, but I have $5 off, guess what? I can bid to 15 and it's still only going to cost me 10. Think about this logically. If person A has a $5 coupon and they're willing to bid to 15, person B really wants that, they're going to bid to 16 or 17. It drives the prices up on your items. There is a ton of benefits of coupons with very, very little expense on the other side. Well, I added a coupon for my first show scheduled this morning. I plan to offer a coupon with every show. Good for you. I think coupons are the most underutilized tool that we have on Whatnot. So many people think, well, if I put a $2 coupon out there and everybody uses it, that's going to cost me $100. Not everybody's going to use it, first of all. And in order for them to use a $2 coupon, they have to spend $2. Odds are they're going to spend more than $2. It's not always going to be something for free. I have one person, and I love her to death. She has it down to a really good technique where she does get free stuff from my shows, but you know what? She's also buying other things. And she comes back, and she's in the chat, and she talks show after show after show. So it works for me. It's to my benefit. When do you put which ones in show notes for those of us eyeing those shows? Every day I actually use a random number generator. I use ChatGPT and I say, between these numbers, I have 1 to 19 right now. Actually, we just did the next set for the third quarter. And I ask ChatGPT once a quarter to give me so many random numbers between these numbers. I copy that list over and I just pick one off the list every single show. So it is very, very random. The cards that are going to be listed in every show, I have a list, but I just pick off the list and stick it in the show notes. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no formula, no science behind it. That would be kind of cool, Josie. So, do you put day up? I'll do it usually the night before a show. I set it. I'll put it in the show notes. Occasionally, I forget and do it in the morning before of the show, but it's usually no more than about 24 hours, just because of I'm not prepared ahead of time. Thank you so much, Leslie. I appreciate that. But they are always there. Throughout the week, it's $5. Saturdays is $8. And now that we're in the third quarter, that will be going up to a little bit higher. So think of it like this. The first quarter, I issued 9 cards. So you got $5 off. By second quarter, there's 18 different cards. So now that means you have to buy more to get more cards. I'm going to give you more money off. That was $8 off on Saturdays. Saturdays are my big shows. Now we're going into the third quarter. I'm probably going to increase Saturdays to $10 off. Come fourth quarter, it's probably going to be $12 off. And we'll do some special shows where it may even be, you get like 50% off or something like that. So they'll be hit or miss, but you got to show up to the show to know if you can use them. So that's the way those work. And I will continue to do something similar next year. Right now, that's what I got for this year. So we're getting close here. Let's wrap this up with another point. Patience builds legacy. So we're talking about having your business be here 5 years from now. You got to show up. You got to do all the things you need to do. You got to build that trust. You use your authority wisely. What was the other thing? Do what you have to do. Put systems in place. Use your authority wisely. And these are all working together in connection with each other to create that infrastructure that's going to make your business last. And then finally, patience builds legacy. We live in a world that celebrates instant overnight success. In the restaurant I work in, we give recovery cards for a free item on the next visit for a broken promise around food. I love that. So to recover that relationship, I love the name of it. I love the concept of it. It's the same thing. Green 13 does an oopsie card. If something sells during his show and he realizes maybe that the piece of jewelry is missing a bead or broken and it's already sold, he'll offer an oopsie card that has some, it has some coupon, some discount with it. Absolutely, Josie. We are also, you don't have to screen record too. We are on YouTube. So everything we do is also on YouTube, where you can go and watch it. Zoe's Treasures, same name. Thank you so much, Estate Addicts. I appreciate that. So social media, when we look at businesses, how many people watch social media and you're like, oh my God, they just got on Whatnot and they're so huge and they're premier and they've only been here 6 months, and we see this stuff, right? Because social media, nobody, I don't say nobody, for the most part, you're not putting your weak, vulnerable failure moments on YouTube or on Instagram or TikTok. You're putting the stuff that makes you look like a freaking rock star on TikTok. That's what we're going to put. I'm not going to put some day with, mascara dripping down my face and me crying to my husband that, I'm not meeting my goals and what am I doing and I'm tired. I'm not putting that on TikTok. What I'm going to put on TikTok is a big pictures of a big old stack of boxes of everything that I'm shipping out that day, right? You don't see the truth, the realness. What we see is instant success and overnight, these people that rise to fame. And then the people that do seem to make it big very quickly, throw it in your face in the sense, I did this and so can you. And if you just do exactly what I do, then you'll make it big. That's not true. For every person that makes it big quickly, there's probably 100 that are struggling and doing this slowly, day by day by day. Slow and steady wins the race. Are there outliers? There's outliers. Slow and steady is what's going to do it. So what did I say? Patience builds that legacy. Most people, the slow and steady is customer by customer, right? Sale by sale, show by show. Or the screen grab of the show summary where you have 10K gross and not show it. Exactly. I hate those. I know there's people out there. I'm just telling you, I'm going to put it out there. I don't care who's listening because I know I got people in the room here just to listen. I absolutely hate those thumbnails where it shows how much money you made. Who gives a flying rat's ass how much money you made? Because that does not tell me how much you have at the end of the day. Doesn't tell me what you had to do to get that money. Doesn't tell me where you sourced, how you set it up, what systems you have in place. Doesn't tell me if you have people that love you or hate you. It tells me nothing except that you grossed a bunch of money. Guess what? We all can gross a bunch of money. What we do with it at the end of the day is a far difference between all of us. That's the make or break right there. Yes, what's behind it? So don't focus on those people. I think it's egotistical and it's deceiving. And if people are here listening and you do that, sorry, I'm getting on you. It's the way I feel. And you can always count on me to be like, just saying what's on my mind. It's going to come out. So
Millie.
Stay humble. That's right. It is customer by customer, show by show, week by week, month by month, year by year. Okay? It is a grind, but patience builds legacy. Okay? Patience builds legacy. How many businesses have you looked at and you're like, man, it just, what I was thinking about the other day? Who remembers, and this is very weird analogy here, who remembers Mexi Melts from Taco Bell? Anybody remember eating Mexi Melts? This was my craving for my first pregnancy. My firstborn is 36 years old, about to be 36 next week. Okay, 36 years ago, this was my pregnancy craving, Mexi Melts. I sat there the other day and I was thinking to myself, goodness gracious, Mexi Melts have been around for 36 years, in the blink of an eye. And they kind of came out around that time when I was pregnant with her, is when they first introduced them on the menu. They're probably gone by now. But I thought, one thing in business, and it's been 36 years, and I could have swore it was just yesterday. I love me some Mexi Melts. So think about that. You're building something that you're going to look back at someday, and you're going to be like, wow, I've been doing these shows for how many years? It's not overnight. It's piece by piece by piece. One improvement after another improvement, okay? It is a long game. Vignetta ice cream. A Mexi Melt. It is a tortilla where they just did a bunch of melted cheese and some of that fake meat that Taco Bell, I don't know if it's fake. I always thought it was fake meat, but it was damn good. Cheese and fake meat. It's like a quesadilla, kind of like folded in half, but it really wasn't a quesadilla. They called it a Mexi Melt. They served it warm. I don't know. I would eat way too many. It's probably why I gained so much weight with my first pregnancy.
Millicent, she didn't know what it was good at the time. That's why she did that. And now she hates it because AI takes her
Okay,
order.
I do have to admit, I ate Taco Bell before I married a Mexican man. I cannot stomach Taco Bell anymore because now that I know what true Mexican is. So Forgotten Memory says, I will say I gained respect for House of Coop when they put out their screen grabs from their early shows. I have to say, too, House of Coop is very good at being humble and reminding people of, look, you may see 500 people in our room, but this is our beginning. I do have a lot of respect for that. Totally agree, Forgotten Memories. We all grow at different paces. We all grow at different rates. We can't compare ourselves. I'll tell you what, me and House of Coop started around the same time. They were on the app. I remember them before they even showed their faces on the app. They maybe started with a few months before me, Their premiere had 500, 600, 700, 800 people in their shows. I'm not. I work full time. My growth is different. My goals are different. My business strategy is different than theirs. Does that mean that I'm not as successful? No way whatsoever. Not at all. We have different goals, different ways of achieving those goals. I am just as successful as they are, and they're just as successful as I am in our own businesses. We can't compare ourselves to somebody else. Set your goals and reach your goals. I have reached every single goal that I have set out, and they keep getting bigger and bigger every year. And Jacob used to come to your chat shows and ask questions. There you go. Same thing with the Sassy Vintage chick. She's been here longer than me. I used to go to Sassy's. I still go to her chat shows, but when I first started, I would go to Sassy Vintage Chick to learn and ask questions. We're at two different places in our business. Does that mean she's more successful or I'm more successful? No. Success isn't based on anybody else. Success is based on you and your goals. And if you're obtaining the metrics and the measures that you want to for your business, it has nothing to do with external factors. And that is something that's so lost on this app, and it's so hard, and it's easy to get caught up in because I'm human. We're all human. There's times that I look at people, particularly ones that I don't care for very much, and I'm like, how in the heck do they have 150 people in their room when they're spouting BS? How is that possible? You know what? Forget it. Focus on you and your success. Getting huge, wouldn't it be feasible? It depends. It depends what your goals are. Some people don't want to get huge. Some people you know what? There's a sweet spot for me. My selling shows right now, pretty good sweet spot for me. I can manage. I feel like I'm appropriately responding to the chat. Most of the time, I'm doing pretty good there. I think the pace is good. The financial side of it works out for me. You know, not all of us need 500 people. Not all of us want 500 people. But if you do, then that's okay too, if that's your goal. Don't have the time? Exactly. Like, figure out what you want and work towards what you want and celebrate your success. And just because someone has a bigger show doesn't mean they're any more successful than you. It doesn't. Sassy's like, I don't want my house to look like a thrift store. Exactly. Build it to what you want it to be, but keep these measures in mind. Think about the very beginning of this. I talked about, are you doing this for a side gig or a long-term sustainable business? There are two very different models, two different ways of thinking and ways of making decisions. If it is, today we're focused on that long-term, get the consistency, the commitment, show up, do what you're supposed to do all the things, build the trust, put systems in place, use your authority wisely. And what was our last one? Have patience. Have patience. I'll tell you what, you practice those 5 things consistently over and over and over, you are now created the infrastructure for a long-term sustainable business. This isn't just like Tracy made some stuff up. This is all just business. These are concepts that have been around for years and years and years. I wish I was smart enough to make all of this up. It's just things I've learned and read over a lot of time. On a recent show, I sold 10 books. I was relieved because I did not want to do a lot of shit. Yeah, there's reasons why I only sell so many items on my Monday, Wednesday shows. Because I work and I don't want to have to be able to do the shipping. I want to be able to meet my commitments. There's a reason I do a big show on a Saturday. You've got to structure it for the way that fits your life. And what that looks like in year 1 may look different in year 2 and different in year 3. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the person who sets goals in January, the Tracy who set my January goals. has grown and changed for the Tracy that's here in June. And so I look back, I evaluate and figure out, okay, where am I going for the next 6 months, right? What do we need to change? So play the long game, keep improving, watch your shows, as cringy as they are, watch your shows, and don't give up. If you have a long-term model, if you're here for the long game, that longevity of your business, those discouraging weeks should just be motivators. They should be learning experiences, because we're going to have them. Use them for what they are. I had a show Wednesday, $2 starts on figurines, didn't sell the first one. No, there you go. You know what though? Those shows where you don't sell anything, or those shows where you sell 2 items and you wanted to sell 10, they're learning experience. Maybe you gained a new follower. Maybe somebody came in your show that is already following you. Maybe they came in, they're like, man, I just really vibe with this person. I can't wait to come back to their show. Maybe that's what you gained. Maybe you gained a little more confidence from walking away with your head held high from a show that you didn't sell anything from. There's always something that comes from every single show. It's not always a financial benefit. Something comes from every show. It's our job to figure out what that something is. You want to buy stock in whatever company I buy my bubble wrap? I go to Sam's Club, but yeah, I go through a ton of bubble wrap. We go through probably about 5 to 6 rolls a week. Watch your show, then went to the med spa. There you go. So learn from it. Pull out what you need to pull out from those shows. And this is a marathon, not a sprint. I know it's an overused cliche statement, but it is true. It is not a sprint to the end. This is a long-term game. You're looking at 5 years from now. Not everything's going to happen today. But I can guarantee you, you apply these principles, you do what you're supposed to do, a year from now, you're going to look back and you're going to be amazed at the growth that you have achieved, whatever that growth is. So and enjoy the experience along the way. Most of my shows only have a few people in them, but I have been fortunate enough to have at least one buyer stick around. There you go. And they do, and even if people don't stick around for the whole show, they come and go. Always go back and look at your metrics and take a look. It is mind-blowing the number of people that actually flow through your show at any given time. Melissa, congratulations. You work with what you have.
Congratulations.
Exactly. I'll look at my shows like a selling show. Usually I have 30 to 40 in a selling show is kind of an average for me, somewhere in there. And then I'll go look at the metrics and it says like 300 people came through your show. Wow. You're only seeing one number. You're seeing one number here. You're not seeing the full picture until after the show. That's how many people that you have now had a chance to touch, to impress. That 300-400 people that may come back next time. You just don't know it. So when I was talking about trust and all those ways to build trust, this is why it's so important, because you don't know who's on the other side of that screen that you're influencing. Thank you so much, Grammy G. That's why our words are so powerful. When we're talking despairingly about another seller, that's powerful. That's really powerful. And we need to be careful in how we do that. When we're uplifting each other, that's powerful. When we're talking about our items, one of the guides I sell is the language of selling. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. When I hold this up and I say, this is just a Target cup. It's really pretty. That word just is powerful. I just diminished the value in your mind of how much this is worth. So think about that. Think about your words to yourself, to others, about yourself, about others, about your items are all very, very powerful words. And consider that legacy versus income. When we start thinking about money today, our long-term growth, income pays today's bills. Yes, we all like it, that income. But legacy, the legacy creates tomorrow's opportunities. The decisions I make today will create the opportunities I have for tomorrow. Let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. Me getting outside of my comfort zone and talking to vendors at the antique store, guess what that's doing? Creating opportunities for tomorrow. Okay, it did nothing for me in that moment, but guess what? Tomorrow it may create a huge opportunity of a source to buy from. So think about what you're doing today is not just about today. It's not just about the money in your pocket immediately. It's about that infrastructure and the legacy you're building and the opportunities that you are paving the road for to come in your business. Okay. So after all of that, I really just walk away and ponder this. What are you building? Are you building a today show? Are you just here for today's sales? Or are you building next year's business? ask yourself that. You don't have to put it in the chat, but think about that to yourself. When I make decisions on what I'm going to do in my business, when I set up a system, when I answer a refund request, when I answer a review, am I building for this moment? Am I in the heat of the moment, or am I building for long term? All of that matters on where you're going to be 5 years from now. So I don't want to be just surviving. I don't want to be here just doing the same thing, getting by day to day, looking for the quick buck 5 years from now. I want to have a thriving business that's built on systems that I can step back and enjoy. That's what I want 5 years from now. So with that, let's quickly wrap it up to everything we covered. Integrity. Yes, integrity. Build with intention. So quick recap, build with intention. Earn trust, one transaction at a time, one decision at a time, one word at a time, one customer at a time. You're earning trust. Create systems that support your consistency. Create systems that support your time, your efficiency. Show up often and enough for your authority to grow. Okay? Protect your authority. Use it for good, not evil. And have patience to play the long game. I'm starting to sound like your ChatGPT. Am I becoming a hype person for you? ChatGPT is the biggest hype person in the world. Like if I'm having a bad day, I just tell me how great I am, ChatGPT. So have patience for the long game. Businesses are built in hundreds, if not thousands, of small, little intentional decisions. All those little things you do build and build and build, and they compound over time. What Liz likes. Thank you so much.
Welcome in, Raiders. Glad you can join us on this business and tax discussion.
Livy, I am glad. There are a ton of great sellers, you guys. Before I do that, what Liz likes, thank you for bringing everybody over. We are actually at the end of our weekly chat show. We are talking about building a business that sustains into the future, the longevity of your business. My name's Tracy, Zoe's Treasures. Please stick around. Liz, please put in the chat who you are, what you do, what you sell, all the good things. You guys, Liz is amazing. Usually our Monday morning, we like to raid into her chat show. Liz is one of the OGs on the app. I used to go to her chat shows. I still go to them, just like Sassy Vintage Chick. But Liz was one of the originals that I would go to learn from. When I first started on Whatnot, definitely a wealth of information. And what I love about Liz is that she is honest to the core. Like she's going to tell you how it is, but she does it in a way that it's like your best friend, that she's kind about it. It's not this mean thing, but it cuts to you. You're like, ooh, I need to think about that. So 100% absolutely recommend. She also sells a ton of vintage decor, other decor. She is recently doing a one and done show, which is pretty cool. Every day she gets on for however long it takes to do her one and done, in addition to other shows. There you go, right there. Some more information about her. So with that, I'm going to close with our CEO affirmation that we always close with. But tonight, 7 p.m., I'm going to be back on talking about tax. We're going to be talking about sales tax. So reselling and sales tax, how that all fits together. That's our 7 o'clock tonight. There's Liz right there. Liz, I just got to say, every time I see the lizard on that mushroom, I think things that I probably shouldn't be thinking. Like, I like mushrooms. I like lizards. It makes me have unpure thoughts. I'm sorry. We're not going to go there, though. So, do you guys, okay, good. I'm not the only one. Now I don't feel so creepy that other people see it too. Okay. So tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., wash your mushrooms. Yes, wash your mushrooms, people. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., all the stuff behind me, Worm Embrace Show, dollar starts, $4.50 shipping. Let's go ahead with our CEO affirmation. I build live selling as a long-term business while staying aware of my tax responsibilities. That's our CEO affirmation of the day. I think my husband is finding somebody to raid. You guys have a good 4th of July. Go see some fireworks, have some fun, be safe. Please don't be holding them fireworks in your hands. I don't want to hear horror stories on Monday. All right, who are we going to, my love? All right, I guess I'm doing it. Who are we going to go see? It's Friday. Green 13, Storage Unit Finds? All right. We're going to see my buddy, Green 13. Bye, everybody.